Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of an Earful podcast. I'm your co-host Matt Lunn, and I am joined by the lean, mean goth machine that is Matty Ashton. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right. Good to be back again.
I know. So the last episode we released was the Arctangent. So massive thanks to anyone who's checked that out. If you've not already, there is a massive video compilation of all the interviews we did at Arctangent. Make sure you go and check it out. But nevertheless, this episode we are joined by Joshua Moore, the guitarist and songwriter for We Came as Romans, and what a chat it was. So we talk all about the brand new album, Darkbloom, which is out on October 14th, which is actually the first since the passing of the vocalist Carl Pavone. We talk about the writing process and talking through the actual lyrics of the album as well, which actually hit home. We also talk about pet peeves, as always, and whether MySpace is going to come back. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, guys, so don't forget to head over to our socials, the usual, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the lot. We're not on TikTok yet. Still not on there yet.
No.
And also, just check out the description because we've got a Patreon link in there where we've got bonus stuff that'll be heading your way on there. You can get access to episodes earlier, bonus content, loads of other stuff. And also, we've got our merch link on there if you want a nice an Earful podcast hoodie or a t-shirt. You know what I mean? If you want to represent. We've got mugs as well, haven't we?
We got a mug. I specifically requested a mug, so we got a mug. And I hear on Patreon there is going to be a video of us doing a hot sauce challenge from earlier this year. Maybe a slight rumour, who knows. But nevertheless, enjoy the chat.
It's a fun watch, to say the least. Enjoy.
Laters.
Cool.
All right, so welcome back to an Earful podcast, and we are Josh. We
are Josh by Josh.
Of We Came as Romans. How's it going, man? You okay?
Yeah, it's going well. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Not bad. Weather's getting a bit colder in typical English weather. It's like the first week of, it's actually getting colder.
Yeah, it's getting colder over here too. I was playing golf the other day. Started out in a nice t-shirt, and by the end of it, I was in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and hoodie.
So where are you at now?
Yeah.
Maybe too am I.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
What was that? Sorry.
So were you guys based? Yeah, where you at?
Oh my god.
Most of us live in the Detroit area in Michigan, and then our drummer David lives a few hours away in Ohio. But
cool.
Yeah, band was like we all started in Michigan, and throughout the course of the band, at one point I had moved to LA for a bit. Our singer Dave had moved to LA and Atlanta and all that, but now we're all back in Michigan, all back where we came from.
I imagine it's quite a cultural shift going from Michigan to LA.
I'm not gonna lie, it sucked straight up.
Right.
I was like, I'm gonna move to LA. That's where the industry is. It's gonna be awesome, and I can meet with my managers and booking agents and labels and all this stuff. Move to LA, then we're on tour for 9.5 months out of the 11 months that I lived there. One of my good friends is Telly from the Word Live, and my apartment was literally 1.5 miles away from his. I saw him more the previous year when I lived in Detroit and he lived in LA. And the year that I moved to LA, and we lived next door to each other because our tour schedules never lined up.
To be fair, we were even on tour. We used to live down the road from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I barely saw him then, but now I see him more when I moved away. I'm like half an hour away.
Yeah, LA's a scam, let me tell you. Paid triple my rent to not live there because I was on tour the whole time. And after that year, I was like, okay, I'm moving back. And I bought a house in Michigan and immediately moved back. And I've been here ever since, again.
It's crazy, isn't it, how it changes? It's like going down to London. If you want to move to London here, you're paying triple in rent for literally less than what you get. You could be paying like $2,000 or $1,500 for maybe a 1-bed apartment with a tiny kitchen, whereas you could get maybe a 4-bedroom house for that further up north. It's just mental.
Oh yeah, there was a house that was for sale behind my apartment in LA, and I was looking it up just for shits, just to see, and it was like $1.4 million. And then I bought a house in Michigan that was the same exact size, square footage wise, for 10% of that.
Okay,
10%.
that's
Same
insane.
size, newer house.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's a scam, let me tell you. Those big cities, scams.
So what was the music scene like when you guys started out like in Michigan in regards to like rock bands and stuff like that?
It was actually like really sick. Like there was, I mean, even as a local band, we were playing at least like 3 shows a month, like almost every single weekend. We'd rent out like VFW halls, throw our own shows. Um, the local scene was pretty good. Like the Devil Wears Prada and Emarosa were like an Attack even like from Ohio. Like they'd come up and play in Michigan. The shows were awesome. Um, the local scene was just great, and there was always shows to play, and it was always $6 to get in or something like that.
Yeah.
It's weird because I like, granted, I'm not like involved in the local scene anymore because we haven't been local forever and we played Detroit 2 times a year, but it doesn't seem nearly as thriving as it once was. Um, but I mean, then again, like back then, this is, fucking 16 years ago. So it's
Yeah.
like, we were renting a VFW hall for $700 and throwing a show, and we'd have 200 kids there, and it was awesome. And, I don't think you could really do that these days. Um, I was talking about it with a friend the other day. It's like, this is going to make me sound real old. And I promise I'm not real old. I'm only 33. But back in my day of metal, all the young and up and coming bands were teenagers. I was 19 when we signed our contract to Equal Vision and put out To Plant a Seed. And Attack was even younger. I think I don't even think Caleb Shomo signed the Attack contract. I think his parents had to sign it for him. Because I want to say that he was 16, you
Amazing.
know, and it's like Prada too, when they signed at Rise, like everyone's teenagers and we're all these like young guys growing up on the road. And now like all like the new bands are like proper real adults, mid late 20s. Um, like a band that's completely ripping it up right now that's considered a new band is Spirit Box.
Yeah.
They're a new
Exactly.
band. They're completely tearing it up, and they're like real adults.
Yeah.
They're not a bunch of teenagers in a van driving around.
Exactly. But it's kind of like that whole thing of where it kind of proves it can be done because everyone's had, for years, it's always been the concept of you reach 25 and you have no chance anymore. Like it's not going to happen because you've gone past peak. So there is no chance of you getting past that, getting to like the next stage and fulfilling all your dreams and stuff like that. But like now
Yeah,
it's kind of like, oh, it is possible because people over 30 can now get signed and be seen as a new band.
yeah. Well, it's like back then it was like, all right, you got to get signed, you got to buy a van, you got to eat complete shit on tour for like 4 years straight, and then maybe you'll make it. Maybe you played enough shows to the metalcore gods will upgrade you to a bus, shit like that. And now it's like you don't have to do that, especially the way that social media and digital marketing work now. And like that shit wasn't around back then. It was like upload a song to your Pure Volume or your MySpace, and that was
Yeah.
we had a thing as a band when we were teenagers that every night each member had to log on to the band MySpace and add 20 new friends. That was how we marketed ourselves. We would
That's
literally
crazy.
go to other bands' pages and see anyone who commented and just add those people because we're like, oh, those people like this band, so they might like our band. You know,
Yeah.
now you can just set up a retargeting ad and reach hundreds of thousands of people to do that. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything has changed so much, and that was a very long tangent, and I love it.
That's what podcasts are for. That's what we're here for. Because it just diverts into like a natural conversation. Do you think
So,
MySpace would work now? I think like if there was this renaissance of MySpace coming back in its original form, where you could spend
hours deciding what song you wanted to be on your profile and stuff like that. I think it would actually come back.
Nah, I think it'd be ass. I didn't know.
Really?
It's because the thing is back then there was nothing else that you could do. Like you could have your live journal or your
Yeah,
Tumblr,
true.
your Zanga maybe, but there was nothing else, you know. And the current like social media setting, you know, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Twitter is even like dead now pretty much, but it's like there's just better options that are easier to use that more people will actually like give a shit about. You know, because in the MySpace days, it's like, oh, okay, like I'll post a bulletin and see if my friends will respond, or I'll go to someone's page and comment on their picture and stuff.
Yeah.
And like now it's like, okay, like that, this will get a little nerdy. It's too many clicks, right? So you got to go to MySpace, you got to click login, you got to go to your page, you got to go to your friends, you got to click on your friends, you got to click on their pictures, you got to click on comment. Now, when I say it like that, you're like, oh, wow, that's so many steps. In actuality, it takes a minute and a half. But in the general, you know, someone consuming online, that's too many clicks. They're not going to do that. They're going to load up TikTok and they're going to scroll through their For You page, and that's that.
Yeah, well, it's crazy, and like I said, like originally MySpace is more like word of mouth. It's kind of more of the natural way of like sort of getting your band out there, but doing it online. But now, like you said, everyone's sort of like has to have the marketing head on, which is crazy because if you would have thought about that 10 years ago, you would have thought of a marketing guy, some dude in a suit who's going to sort all your problems out. But now you are that guy.
Yep. Yeah, and now it's just like TikTok and Instagram Reels, which is basically just TikTok for adults that don't want to download TikTok. It's you know that's kind of where like you know in terms of like self promotion of music has gone it's pretty much TikTok, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So weird, isn't it? Like just the concept of like it just general audience's attention span, as bad as that sounds, like it's just evaporated. Like if you're not grabbing their attention like immediately, like they're not interested, they'll swipe past it. And it's like, holy shit, you never like could you imagine thinking of that when you're in high school or like 10 years ago? It was just like, right, we need to do something that's appealing within 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's definitely weird to think about like back in the MySpace days too. It's like you want to release a new song. It's like, you know, you got to get money somehow. You're broke high school kids. You got to get money. You got to go to a studio to record it because none of you know how to record. And then you got to, you know, you get it back. You change your name to put brackets, new song out Friday. You'd spend a week promoting it. And then you put up your new song and then you blast everyone hoping that they listen to it. And now it's like, even I like record demos in my bedroom and I am dog shit at operating recording software, but even I can do that. So it's like, imagine if you were able to spend just a little bit of time learning how to operate recording software, operate a DAW. It's like, okay, now you can just make your own music in your bedroom and you can film a video on your iPhone and just swap out the audio. And you don't need video editing software like you did 16, 17 years ago. Swap out the audio, and then you have your new thing to post to TikTok, which is like a decently recorded demo, a video of you singing it in your bedroom, and there it is. Like to do something like that back in the day would have required a lot of money and like weeks of planning. But now, like the accessibility of recording music and putting music out there is it's the bar for that is so low, which is good. Sometimes bad, usually good. Because you know it doesn't stop the I'll say the songs that should have never been released, it doesn't stop those from getting released, but it does let people that may have not had the means otherwise to like record decent music, put it out and get recognized for it.
100%. So you've got the new album Darkbloom on the way, which is your most recent album since, was it 2018, 2019?
2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
October 2017, we released Cold Like War, and it has been 5 years almost. So it's too long. I don't recommend to any band to go 5 years in between releases of records. I think understandably my band went through some shit that
Absolutely.
explains
Yeah,
that,
100%.
you know.
Yeah.
Anyone that listens to the new record will find that out very quickly. Um,
So getting onto the new record, how did you even just start to begin writing this album? Obviously, since Carl passed away, how did you even begin to sort of process where to start with it?
it was, I don't know, like I kind of hit a point where like musically it wasn't an issue writing. You know, because there's not, you know, there's not lyrics, there's not words, there's not meaning really attached to it yet.
Yeah,
But I kind of hit a point where it was helpful to write lyrics about it. It was helpful to write words, meaningful words, you know,
yeah,
about it. And it became a sort of therapeutic thing, not in terms of like it started to make things better, because it didn't. You know, I would start to write and I would read the things that I wrote and I would just cry or I'd be pissed off or I'd be depressed. Um, but I think it opened up the opportunity for things to get better in the future. Um, and the more and more I wrote and wrote and wrote, um, you know, I don't want to say the easier it was to write, but the less it hurt to write about. Um, and don't get me wrong, I mean, so track 6 on the record, One More Day, the last track called Promise You, like I listened to those songs like 2 days ago. I still cried. I
Hey,
like it's just gonna happen.
listening to
Um,
them for the first time as well, that give me goosebumps. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the end track as well.
yeah, and it's like, is that always gonna happen?
Yeah,
Maybe. But now, like, I'm able to listen to them and I'm able to like remember Kyle and miss Kyle and not just be, you know, lost and depressed and stuck and unable to move forward with, you know, with my life or with my mental space where I'm at, you know. And so it's, you know, it changes as time goes, you know, as everything does. So wise, I'm like a fucking fortune cookie over here. But it definitely, you know, it definitely changes the more, I guess, I don't want to say like expose myself to it because I'm already at like maximum exposure level of losing Kyle like all the time. But
Yeah.
um you know, the more I write about it or the more I think about it or the more I like actually choose to embrace it instead of ignoring it and trying different ways to get those shitty feelings to go away. um you know, it might get easier to move forward. I might get, you know, I might still get depressed. I might fall into a rut, but maybe I'm there for less time this time around. And maybe instead of spending a month in the gutter, I'm only there for a few days.
yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and
Absolutely.
I expect it's just going to keep hopefully going that way. I don't know when I reach the point where it's not sad, you know, but now it's just about dealing with that sadness differently than I did for, honestly, no shame, years after Kyle passed. The first 2, 3 years, I was just stuck, depressed, and not moving anywhere. And that really started to change when I started writing lyrics for the record.
Yeah.
Slowly, by the way, it changed
Yeah.
very slowly.
No,
It
absolutely.
was not an instant cure for anything, but at least there was the possibility for something in my life to change
Yeah.
with my mental state.
So that's
No,
the best thing
absolutely.
about music. It's just the cathartic outlet you can get from it, like from yourself writing it and recording it, as well as being the listener. Um, it helps just get those feelings out in a way. And can I just say this album's brilliant as well, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful tribute, and I'm pretty sure that like when you release it, it's going to have a great reception to it.
Thank you. I really hope so, and I think anyone that's ever experienced any kind of loss will find multiple parts in each song that they're able to relate to, and maybe it helps them through the loss that they experienced as well. Like, not in a selfish way, and I just preface that I don't think anyone would take it that way, but like I wrote this record for us, for my band, to try to get through what we were going through.
Yeah.
And when we got done with it, I was like, I think this could actually help other people too, hopefully. My band has always kind of been about that, kind of been a positive message, band, I guess. And, I don't know if there's anything really positive about Darkbloom. It's more so just, and the record as a whole, like the acknowledgement of not giving up in the worst absolute times and trying to face all those terrible emotions that you feel just head on, and acknowledging that you feel them, that they're there, and that's okay that they're there. It only gets bad when that just consumes you and that just becomes who you are.
No, absolutely. Like, I mean, from experience, like we lost our friend and co-host earlier in the year. So like there's certain lyrics in Darkbloom where it's just like, oh, that definitely hits somewhere, and it definitely hits home. So like you said, like for those listeners who have experienced something like that, like it will resonate with them by all means. Like it said, it had done with me. So yeah, job well done.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, likewise.
It's always rough. It's never good, but hopefully, hopefully there's always like a way to move forward. We have kind of this thing in our band where we never say that we're moving on. We always say that we're moving forward.
Yeah.
Because you don't move on from losing someone that you loved. Like that doesn't make any sense. You're always going to love that person. You're not moving on. It's just about progressing your life in any way, just forward instead of backwards.
No,
100%.
absolutely. So, how did you start with the writing process on this then? So, when did you start like tracking ideas?
Man. Well, so we released 2 songs after Kyle passed, Carry the Weight and From the First Note. And that was like the first time really that I'd started to write about it. And, with no music, if you just read the lyrics to Carry the Weight, that song is depressing as hell. Probably because we were depressed as hell. Like that's why I wrote it. And after those songs, I just, I had a bunch of music and stuff that I was writing back home. And I was just, I don't know, trying to think of like, no one's going to listen to a record that every song is just like, I'm depressed and this sucks, track 2. I'm depressed and this sucks, track 3. I'm still depressed and this still sucks. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants to hear that. And like, I don't want to hear that. Like if I made that as a record and I listened to it back, I would be upset at how completely not creative that was for me to do. So I just really kind of put some focus into trying to find, I don't know, different ways to write about losing Kyle. And in my mind, that was just kind of going over all the different emotions that we had all as a band felt through the course of just navigating that grief. Because every day it wasn't just like, oh, I'm sad and this is terrible. Like some days I was super pissed and some days I was really anxious. And, some days I was just sad that I couldn't have him back, And so I tried to, I don't know, navigate that and put a different message into each song. And it took a while. I mean, I was writing the record for like 2 years. Um, you know, the song Plagued on the record I wrote almost 3 years ago with my friend Nick Sampson and my friend Ryan Latrue.
Yeah.
We wrote that in like January of like I think 2020. Yeah, that sounds right. Like, yeah, almost like 3 years ago. So it's like it was definitely a really long process, but I don't know, I think I got there in the end.
Yeah,
At least when I listen back to the record, like I'm proud of it. I think
Yeah.
that all the songs are unique and different and touch on different parts of the grieving process.
Yeah, well, including all the guys you featured on the album as well. So you've got Caleb on there, and then 0936 in Daggers, which is a great track, by the way. How did that come about? How did you manage
Yeah, that was
to get him on
wild.
there?
'Cause that song got like written and rewritten like 10 fucking times. And eventually it got to the point where it was, and we had this like long kind of section in the middle that was just, drums and keyboard shit going on. And we are like, oh, we should try to get someone to maybe like rap on this, or we'll put a guest spot here or something. And Drew Folk was like, hey, I know a guy who would be perfect for this. It's my friend Matt. Like, I'll call him and he'll do the track. And we were like, okay. And at the time, like I had not heard of Zero before. Like I don't listen to rap, or now he's at the top of like the active rock charts, which is awesome for him, but that's also not like really what I listen to. Like I'd never heard of him before.
Mhm.
And he sent back his like first take of it real quick. And we listened to it, and our eyes just kind of got real big, and we are like, oh shit, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like the like first thing that he sent back is literally what's like printed in the song. Like that's it. Like we weren't like,
Yeah.
no, like change up these parts, like maybe say this, not whatever. We are just like, no, that's good, print it. Like everything's good.
Yeah.
It's crazy because like part of the rap, it's like interlocked with the drums at one part. It's like the rhythm that he's rapping at like perfectly matches what the drums are doing as well. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, that man is a professional.
Yeah.
For real.
So what point did you start working with Drew? And had you worked with him before, or is this the first time you worked with
So
Drew?
I met Drew working on our fourth record. He was one of the people that I started writing some songs with on the fourth record. And then we recorded our fifth record, Cold Like War, with Drew. And over the course of recording that, we became really close friends. He became friends with everyone, Kyle included. And so that was like a huge reason why we decided to do this record with Drew, is because he really understood Kyle's mind when it came to keyboards, electronic drums, production, all of that stuff. They really connected on that. And, without Kyle here, like we can't have that element missing from our songs. And not only because it wouldn't quite sound like us, but because it would feel like part of him is missing from our songs.
Yeah.
And so we recorded with Drew to kind of ensure that that was still there. And I mean, I love recording with Drew. He's a really good friend of mine. He's a really great person. And there's no way that the record would have possibly came out close to how it did if we didn't do it with Drew.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll ask you one last question before we leave. We ask it on every podcast. It's like a reoccurring segment that we have, and that is, what is your pet peeve? What pisses you off the most in life? And it could be anything you want. The pettiest thing. What pisses you off the most? If you've got multiple things, you can fire them out. But yeah,
my pet peeve that I can think of right now is when people ask for advice and then just don't take it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And then you tell them, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool, but I don't care." But I'm like, why are you asking for help if you already planned on not taking it before I even spoke?
Oh, that's dick behavior, that.
I hate that shit. I hate it.
Oh, dude. No. I've had it where
Okay.
it's like someone asks you for advice, and then you come up with this really like illustrated idea to give it back to him, so that's your opinion. Like, oh yeah, we'll do that, and then they don't do that.
Yeah,
Oh, they do the opposite.
The opposite of that.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got it.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
No, dude, no.
Anyway, Josh, thanks a lot for coming on. Anyway, appreciate it, and good luck with the release of the album.
Yes, absolutely. It's an incredible album. Like we said, we imagine it'll go down a storm with your fan base already, and even new listeners. So yeah, good luck, man.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. It was awesome being here.
So I hope you enjoyed that episode with Josh from We Came as Romans. Big thanks to Nuclear Blast for sorting that out for us. If you want to go check out the music and you want to have a little taster of the new album, go listen to their EP Golden. Then you know what you're in for. But apart from that, just wait for this new album to come out because you'll fucking love it.
October 14th. Go and check it out. And whilst you're on Spotify or other streaming services, you can check out all of our previous episodes of an Earful podcast. There is now over 3 years worth of podcasts that you can go and check out, as well as the infamous Horror Fests, amongst other things. If you don't already follow us on socials, please do. It takes a second, and you can keep up to date with whatever interviews we have when we're releasing. You can find us all at an Earful podcast. If you can't be bothered doing that, you can also find it in the links below if you're on Spotify or on YouTube. Oh, and speaking of YouTube, you can watch some of the video versions on our YouTube channel, along with the Arctangent Festival and 2000 Trees Festivals we've just done, with all the interviews from that as well. So go and check them out. It's well worth a watch.
Anyway, thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Catch you on the flip. Bye.